Hello, my mimics, and welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, episode 107. And it turns out I did trigger the Radahn Festival, and that's why Alexander wasn't there. However, you may have noticed that our time-traveling mimic helped us out and got some footage, and our time-traveling mimic is at Fort Redmane, ready to take on the castle when we need him, so we can get the dialogue with Iji about figuring out how to get the stars to turn and things of that nature. So our time traveler is going to help us when I screw up. And since I screwed up, I thought I would just talk to Blythe and tell him what we know. I put my katana in its sheath. I didn't mean to drink. Anyway, let's talk to him.
Ah, well met. What news?
Tell Sellen's story.
So Rani's fate is kept in stasis by Starscourge Radahn. That reminds me of something I heard. There's a festival being held at the castle on the southern edge of the Caelid Wilds, east of Limgrave. It's a festival of combat. And I heard that you can fight Radahn himself. He who was once called the strongest of all the demigods. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I think it's worth investigating. I'll be on my way to this festival of Radahn then.
All right.
You're coming
Anything
too,
else?
right?
Of course.
To Radahn's festivities. I'll meet you at Redmane Castle in Caelid. The way ahead is pleasingly simple. We fight, sword and fang.
Excellent. Okay, so the funny thing there, he says, is maybe it's just a coincidence, but there's no such thing as coincidences in Elden Ring, especially when it comes to with our golden scarab. Was it a coincidence or was it prophetic? The fact that there is a festival of combat where we get to fight Radahn himself, and Radahn is holding Rani's fate in stasis. And he's holding Rani's fate in stasis most likely because of what Melania, Blade of Mikola, did to him. Now we're getting this together? We seeing this picture being painted? Okay, I think so. We'll talk about that more when we get to it. But before then, last episode, it might have been a little jumbled up. I edited the audio in a way so that there wasn't much dead air and the stories I was telling were being brought together. We got Flame of the Redmanes. Ash of War grants, and this is something I forgot to mention, Ash of War that grants the fire affinity. Flame of the Redmanes, skill of the Redmanes who fought alongside General Radahn, produce a powerful burst of flames and a wide frontward arc. So they have this memory of battle of producing these fires. Redmanes are now tied with fire, not just for fighting the rot. The important part about this is that they were using fire before the Scarlet Rot, because it's skill of the Redmanes who fought alongside General Radahn. So Radahn and his Redmanes are firmly associated with fire. And the Carians had an alliance with the trolls and the giants. And from Sword Knight and Flame, the astrologers were neighbors to the fire giants, and Radahn has this red hair similar to these fire monks. And we know from Northerners that they can have giant's blood. So perhaps there's a little bit of fire giant within Radahn and Radahn, and that's being passed down the line, and their use of fire is showing that. That's the Knight in Flame could be the astrologer, sorcerer, Carian, Renala, marrying the fire giant Radahn. Now, he doesn't have to be a fire giant. He could just be a descendant of a fire giant. When we talk to Muriel, he says that the statue of Leyendell, there's a statue of Radahn in Leyendell, and he says his image in giant stature, and it holds a secret. There's skeletons, Radahn skeletons, like the skeletons in his closet. So is that secret that Radahn has fire giant lineage? Well, he's got the red hair, and I don't know if we know anything about fire giants having red hair. yet. But it seems to me that maybe that's his secret, that Radahn is secretly part fire giant. And since the fire giants, they went to war with the fire giants, well, this is interesting now. We get this political marriage from the Erd Tree to the Carians, and it's a marriage of a fire giant and a marriage of a Carian who is a moon worshiper. And he becomes the strongest of all of the demigods, Radahn, the child of night and flame. He's the child of night and flame. And I think that's very interesting. But he has two other siblings who are also children of night and flame. Rykard and Ranni. We also got our Moon Veil. This one, that came from a worm who has a dragon heart but can't fly, and he's underground. He's like a worm burrowing tunnels, but he is also like a serpent with wings, kind of like Rykard's, like formless serpents, and those statues we saw at the Volcano Manor. The Moon Veil, katana forged from glintstone from Celian, from a masterpiece of a Celian swordsmith. So there was a swordsmith in Celia, who has this ties to the land of reeds and katanas, and the cross naginata kind of adds that. Light enwreaths the blade when sheathed, so when you're not looking, it explains the Moon Veil moniker. Transient moonlight, transient as in temporary. That is so interesting. They made this from glintstone, but when you put it in, when it's in its sheath, the moon is veiled, the moon is hidden, or the moon is hiding something. And then it gets in light, and then when you let it go, there's that transient moonlight. This is the light of the moon coming out. That is interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm not sure what to make of that. The moon is hiding something. That's what I think is probably really important. Or the moon is being hidden? I'm not too sure. Transient moonlight. And it gets its name Moon Veil. It's either the moon is hidden, the moon is hiding something. Let's see how it does on these guys. 200 damage. How much damage does this do? Oh, he did Lion's Claw. 209. Yeah, it might not be worth using Moon Veil, but I kind of want to use it. I've never used this weapon before. I'm not much of a katana user. Being like a strength guy. So since we got our Redmane Knight armor, let's look at our Redmane stuff. Let's start with the helmet. Like all the other helmets, it has the same base, but it has different markings on it. Helm worn by knights who fought by General Radahn's side, the red plume is a symbol of Radahn's pedigree of Lord Radagon's son, the mane of the proud red lion. So the head of a lion, a group of lions is called a pride, so that's pretty funny. And he's the red lion. This is what comes from here is that Radahn is symbolizing that he is a son of Radahn. That there is pride. Like, he is the proud red lion, and he's proud to be Radagon's son. No matter what Radahn may feel about himself, his son Radahn holds pride with being his son. That is tantamount for him. And that, I think, tells us a lot about how the world perceives Radahn. And in this regard, it seems like at least his children, at least Radahn, sees being a child of Radahn as being, Radahn is an Elden Lord. He was essentially the Moon King, and then he becomes Elden Lord. He's proud of that. He holds pride for who his father is, and yeah, I think that's spectacular for Radahn, at least. All right, Moonveil's cool, so I see why a lot of people used it. We got to look at more armor. First, we gotta deal with this guy. I also put on Melania's. I put on Melania's successive attack thing because we're using a katana, so I just assumed we'd be doing successive attacks. Okay. What else do we have from the Redmanes? Armor worn by knights who fought by General Radahn's side when they were driven to defeat by Melania's Scarlet Rot. Okay, so Melania beat them with her rot by doing that rot bomb and destroying this place. Dropping a fantasy nuclear weapon on the whole area. The Caelid Wilds. So this used to be some wildlands, but now it is rotted wilds. The Redmane Knights burn the crest on their left breast to their armor, to indicate their resolve. Alas, in quotes, remember when we see quotes, that means someone has said it, which is important. In this, it's not going to give us any real gotchas, but remember, when we see quotes, that means someone is saying it. Alas, dear home, I shan't see you again, for our duty is to remain here, a bulwark against the blight. So these Redmanes have so much pride that they, even though they lost to Melania, they will stay to protect the rest of the world from the rot. And that is interesting too, if we think from the causal perspective of things. We're thinking of the Golden Scarab. Why is the world the way it is? I want to cast Blessing's Boon, but they're not letting me. Wow, this sword is a lot of fun. I see why people play with katanas now. Oh, there we go. Soldier's Greaves. That's what I was missing. These guys, like, Radahn makes his army out of the best. Like, oh wait, I think I didn't pick up that chest over there. I think I skipped the chest. All right, I gotta run back. Radahn makes his army out of, like, the greatest guys around, the greatest warriors you can find. And because he does, and he's the proud Red Lion, so you have to have, there is pride with being part of Radahn's army. He's only choosing what he thinks is the best. He's the strongest demigod, so he only wants the strongest people. And they're holding on to an egg. Something incredible. Why is it in a chest? No precious item. No, this is very precious. Radahn's soldiers. Ooh, this is showing Radahn. I think Radahn's Redmanes. These are St. Trina followers. I think that is why I think we're seeing St. Trina followers. I actually don't need this on the hotbar for the moment. So because he puts together the most proud warriors of the bunch, that pride leads them to not abandoning Caelid after Melania defeats them. Like, who are they fighting here? Well, now they're just fighting a natural disaster to keep it at bay from the rest of the world. So because of this, the rest of the lands between is safe. If Radahn did not have the best of the best, would the rest of the lands between be in jeopardy? Let's look at this attack he's doing. Purple, tied to a type of magic, I think gravity magic, and he's shooting a lot of them. Holy moly, that is a spell and a half. Oh, and it chases me. Okay. So kind of looking at, we know that, oh goodness, Radahn studied under an Alabaster Lord, so it looks like he was able to teach whatever he was taught by the Alabaster Lord to his knights, and now, no wonder they're a force to be reckoned with. Hey, come here. Recharge my flask. Right, let's deal with this guy, and then we can worry about the rest of them. So, I want us to think about, wow, look at that. Oh man, too slow. Oh man, too slow. Oh no. I want us to think about you know, how the relationships between all of these characters, and we're thinking prophecy, you know, things have to happen a certain way for the future to come true. So Radahn needs to be the strongest demigod so that he can employ the best of the best soldiers, and they will stay and continue to protect everywhere west of Caelid from the Scarlet Rot. That means the Scarlet Rot, like Malenia, can safely use the Scarlet Rot without it negatively affecting everywhere else. Oh no. Dean! My bird! I couldn't protect him. How sad. Scarlet Tabard. Ooh, let's take a look at that. Padded cloth armored with telltale stains of Scarlet Rot. Worn by the foot soldiers in Radahn's army. And Scarlet Rot is a nasty sickness. It is not something you want to be hanging around. Explosive great bolts. Who was making these? Oh, this is actually explosive stone shards. This is actually really important. I think we may have found some earlier and I didn't really mention. I was like, oh yeah, you know, you would want to use explosive arrows, right? There was something that we got that was explosive. Oh yeah, we got explosive bolts. I didn't even consider where would we get explosive bolts from. That's going to be something that we're going to learn later. You know, little prophetic knowledge tying Radahn to working with Rykard. You know, just give you a little hint there. That's pretty cool. That's very fun world building. Looking at how these alliances works by what materials people get. Anything down here? We could hit those guys when we come down that way. So yeah, it has to for Malenia to safely use. Oh, okay. Can I get for Malenia to be able to safely use her rot against Radahn without the rest of the world being destroyed by it. Because without Radahn's army, we have Scarlet Rot spreading everywhere. Oh geez. So if Malenia, now that we have I think the scarabs can tell us that they're indicating there is some strategic I think precognition at play for Malenia's army, or at least Miquella's followers. Oh goodness! Oh no! You know they a lot of people. Oh, that's pretty cool. A lot of people will say, well, what Malenia did was evil. She's evil because she used the Scarlet Rot. Like, she could have destroyed the world. However, if she knew that Radahn's soldiers would stay here to fight the Scarlet Rot, to prevent it from continuing to spread, well, is she evil? Is she still, like, this mastermind, evil, like, she dropping a nuclear bomb ordeal?
Oh.
I don't know. That's something you would have to ask yourself. Like, if she knew, like, they're at war, obviously, and using the bomb is bad, you know? But this is called the Caelid Wilds. It's the Caelid Wilds. That information is important because it tells us that this is not really a place that people were actively living in. We have all these towns, but it's hard to say if this was like a place where people were like, these towns could be old. They could have been abandoned before and the place could have gone wild. I mean, we see that there was a dead dragon over there. We have dragon from Greece, and there was a magma worm. If this place is infested by dragons, then perhaps it's not a very safe place for people to be living, and there might not be people living here. So, you know, the only people affected by Malenia's rot bomb would be the military and Radahn. And, yeah, the rest of the world would be would be safe knowing that Radahn's soldiers would continue to fight. We got one of our Sunrealm castles. So that's just something to think about. Can't get in there, but... See anything? No. See an item we want. Oh yeah, we got Flame Grant Me Strength. Superior incantation of the Fire Monks. So obviously, the Fire Monks' knowledge has been passing through here. And we were talking about Radahn is tied to fire. So it looks like perhaps their fire abilities maybe came from interactions with the Fire Monks. The Redmane's firepower come from the Fire Monks. Creates an invigorating fire within. Fire within. Creates an invigorating fire within that enhances physical and fire affinity attack power. This incantation does not burn the caster, so it was considered forbidden by the Guardians of the Flame. Ooh, so how did Radahn's army come across an incantation that's forbidden by the Guardians of the Flame? Ooh, so who... Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I think we have... I hadn't considered that before. If we think about, you know, there must be... Here's some prophecy coming in. Here's using that prophetic knowledge. There might be... no, Radahn's a red lion, so of course he wants a lion here. Can, anything up here? No. Oh, there's just a ladder. If I want to go fight a mano a mano. Looks like a lot of Erdtree commoners got killed by Radahn's army. They're not burning, however. Is it the Scarlet Rot? I don't know. Maybe this was a very Erdtree populated area. It's hard for me to say. Let's see, can I damage him from up here? Oh no, he's just gonna dodge everything. Alright. Perhaps, if it's forbidden by Guardians of the Flame, but it's a Flame Monk incantation, perhaps there's people who abandoned their duty as Guardians of the Flame, and that's why they're down here. Warming Stones. So I want to think about that. Is Radahn allying himself with people who abandoned their Fire Monk duty, and that's where these guys are coming from? Maybe we'll see that. That's how we have Flame Grant Me Strength. People want oh, that makes so much sense. The Fire Monks who would abandon their cause is because they want the flame to grant them strength. Let's look at the other Fire Monk incantations for a moment. Flame of the Fell God, Surge o' Flammy, Whirl o' Flammy, Flame Cleanse Me. It would be Flammy Cleanse Me. Flame Grant Me Strength. You can use Flame Cleanse Me because it burns you. A reminder that they must fear the flame. But once you stop fearing the flame and you want fire to give you strength, that is when it should be forbidden. Oh, that makes so much sense. Oh, they wanted fire for power. Firepower. Makes sense to me. I am the Moon Swordsman. Fear me. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm glad we saw that. All right, so that guy did a war cry, and what do we know about war cries? This is from our Highland Axe, which we found under a portrait of Godfrey in Stormvale Castle. It's also tied to the Axe Talisman, which was about the lord who led the Long March, bore an axe, and his loyal warriors honored him by wielding axes of their own, making them very effective for dealing decisive blows. It looks like Caden Sellsword. What's interesting about the Redmane Knight using a war cry is that brave combatants, warriors of the Highlands, begin battle by crying out their names. Roars are enhanced by this weapon. Since this is an axe, the Lord of the Long March bore an axe. Godfrey bears an axe, so he is the Lord of the Long March. It would tell us that this Redmane is either trying to emulate Godfrey's warriors, or he could have been one of Godfrey's warriors. And that's why he was inducted into Radahn's army. Now this goes into another item we have. So If we remember, I'm wearing the Fire Monk's greaves. These are black iron greaves. These are the monks who are the guardians of the flame after the war against the giants. Okay? Well, if we look at our Godric Knights, gauntlets worn by Knights loyal to Godric the Grafted, Cuckoo Knights, gauntlets worn by Raya Lucaria Academy Knights, Redmane Knights, black iron gauntlets worn by Knights who fought General Radahnn's side. And if we look at the leggings as well, black iron. So the Knights of Radahnn's army have the same, we'll put on this knight armor, are made from the same material as the Fire Monks, black iron. Now, learning about who else has black iron is going to really help us in a lot of our theorizing about when these warriors are from. Since he had a war cry, is he emulating the Lord who led the Long March and bore an axe? Is he emulating Godfrey, who became Horalu, the chieftain of the Badlands? Or is he one of Godfrey's warriors who wasn't tarnished, warriors of my lord? So that could be interesting. That could indicate how old he is. We're going to go pick up that item after we fight this guy. Actually, we got to pick up the item in here. In a chest. Okay, denoting ownership to this castle. Oh, by the way, this castle is Fort Gael, and that was the Gael Tunnel, so they're tied 1-1. Imported dagger design of a rather unique handle. The blade is swung about the extension of one's fist. So it's imported. Imported from where? That lion is not happy. This is like my cats right now because they want me to feed them. And I'm going to have to feed them soon. Okay, well, with a unique handle. What's unique about the handle? Let's change my gauntlets. Let's do Caelid. Is there anything unique on the handle of this? Those... Are they snakes? What are those? They look snaky. We got snakes. Do they do bleed at all? No. Okay. I don't know. They came, but they're foreign. So when we see something like that, we gotta think foreign. You can't hit me. Can I hit you with this? Can I hit you with my black flame? Flame, grant me strength. Oh, he's gonna hit me. Man, he's angry. Oh, he didn't like that. Let's see if I can get a bleed proc on him. Oh, that's good enough for me. Alright, Moonveil's pretty cool. And we got Lion's Claw. So he had a memory of Lion's Claw. So it looks like the warriors of Radahn, we also got that on our Claymore. Skill of the Redmanes who fought alongside General Radahn. It makes me think that the Redmanes learned how to do Lion's Claw from emulating actual lions, because the memory came from a lion. So the fighting technique of the Claymore, and we'll just equip that just to show it. I remember we found this at Stormvale at Castle Morn. So that they learned from a lion. That's also one of the signature move of Guts from Berserk. We got that from the Claymore at Castle Morn, down all the way over there. And the boss of Castle Morn was a red-haired Leonine Misbegotten, Leonine as a lion. So it's very cool that was, I think it's very cool that it's showing us that they learned that technique from a lion. The world building in this is astounding, isn't it, folks? Like, that is just how much lore you can learn about. These people learn that fighting technique by watching a lion fight. And we learn that because the memory of that attack came from that lion. Also, these guys are not on the side of the Erd Tree, because look at all these dead Erd Tree guys. Dead Erd Tree commoners, not on the side of the Erd Tree. That's important too. Radahn is an enemy of the Erd Tree. Melania is allied with the Caelid tree. That's the holy tree, not the Erd Tree, so probably an enemy of the Erd Tree. Ronnie enemy of the Erd Tree. Rykard, enemy of the Erd Tree. Godric, enemy of the Erd Tree. So who's who? And the veiled, what do you call it? The veiled monarch, the grace-given lord, Morgott. He is not enemy of the Erd Tree. Convey the festival of war. Convene the festival of war. Oh, whoa, I skipped it. Let's do that again. Convene the festival of war. Honor General Radahn with a warrior's glory. It is in your hands, Sir Jaren. So we get to fight Radahn, and the warrior's glory is probably to die. Either die fighting Radahn or to kill Radahn. The Starscourge heirloom. Ooh, this is a good one. Talisman engraved with a scene of a heroic tale raises strength. We see Radahn, his red hair, 4 stars, and like a falling star coming at him on a horse with his 2 swords out. The mightiest hero of the demigods confronted the falling stars alone, and thus did he crush him. The mightiest hero of the demigods confronted the falling stars alone, and thus did he crush them, his conquest sealing the very fate of the stars. So the fate of the stars, which is holding back Ranni's fate. But remember, he's from a moon family, so the fate of the stars is held in stasis. But we got this transient moonlight. We have this hidden moonlight from Moonvale, and he did it alone. So, you know, I don't see that as like we have to kill him now, but actually, was Mikola, or was Melania trying to kill Radahn to get the stars to move? Godric didn't fight Radahn. Was it because he was afraid of him, or he just wanted the stars to be held in stasis? This will take us to Redmane Castle. And you know what? Let's go look at Redmane Castle. Let me show you that the festival has started. I could have looked up there, but we didn't. If this gate is turned on, it means that the festival is happening. But our time traveler will deal with this when he deals with it. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We are not going to do Redmane Castle next episode. But actually, while we're here, look at this. 2 titans coming out of the ground, and our Blackstone civilization. Even Caelid is false. Even Caelid is manufactured. The lands between is fake. It's fake. It's a video game, obviously it's fake. It looks like a lot of people died crossing that bridge. Alright, next episode, we will go back to Smoldering Wall, and we're going to go past the wall and then continue east again, or west again. We're going to go west. Going to pass the wall and go west. All right, everybody, you know the drill. Let's do the thing.